Thank you for joining Think, Build, Launch podcast. This program is an extension of Marl Startup Studio. Marl Startup Studio was started to support students and first-time founders while they are in the idea stage of their startup. We believe there are so many innovative ideas in our community that get missed simply because people do not have the structure to take their idea into an actionable plan. We hope to be that bridge, the bridge between ideation and scale. Today, we are so lucky to have our guest, Mariano Gonzalez from MGV Capital. Mariano has 20 years of experience leading growth strategy initiatives for Fortune 500 companies and private equity venture capital firms. His career includes a decade of strategy and operational consulting with Booz & Company. As a founder, he has launched several startups in professional services, retail, technology, and gaming. And as an investor, he focuses on early stage technology companies. Welcome, Mariano. So glad you can be here.
Thank you.
My first question is MGV Capital invests in what they call strategic capital for digital startups. What do you mean by the term strategic capital?
Yes. So with regards to why, what do we mean by strategic capital? This is my background is in strategy consulting. I worked with Booz & Company for about 12, 14 years. And something that I always wanted to do is to bring that top tier strategic counseling to startups. My thesis, and many of my colleagues might disagree, is that there is a tremendous gap in terms of strategy knowledge in the VC arena. I believe that most VCs are either one or two-time founders, and mind you, there's a lot of knowledge that comes with having that operational background. But what I wanted to bring to the table is having essentially the equivalent of your Booz partner, McKinsey or Bain, working for you as you progress with your venture. So that's the reason for. I guess that's the reason for us being, and then also how we differentiate from most of our colleagues.
So, not all of us are going to be lucky enough to work with you with all of that contextual intelligence that you get from having worked at Booz, which is, obviously one of the best consulting companies, in North America, if not the world. Are there any books or any other ways that people can get access to some of the insights in strategy? So I'd love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the one that I would always recommend is Competitive Advantage, precisely written by the Booz & Company leadership, and more than anything, I guess the thesis is that how to win in the market by focusing on the key capabilities needed for you to be successful. So this is an exercise in truly thinking, how can you position yourself vis-a-vis the rest of the market in a way that is differentiated and sustainable? So what are the 3 or 4 key competitive capabilities that you need to have to be successful? And then focusing your strategy and your capabilities in refining and advancing those areas of focus. And by doing that, you also identify the areas in which it is okay for you not to be world-class. Which are the areas in which you can, operate at a different level, so that your whole focus is in the key areas that will make you successful.
I love that. So focusing on the key capabilities. And I think that's an interesting thing, that you don't have to be great at all of the capabilities, right? Can you just say more about that, just to make sure I heard you correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of the typical examples is if you think about Southwest, right? And how they have specific capabilities that had made them successful in defining their strategy. And one of them has always been excellent customer experience. And another one has been efficient operations. And by doing that, one of the tactics that they used was, okay, so instead of competing against the other airlines by managing and having, a huge fleet with different type of equipment and competing in the main airports in the world or in the U.S., they focus on, okay, so in order to make our operations most efficient, let's have a single type of aircraft, and all of the planes were that way. That actually created a lot of benefits in the sense that it was easier to maintain the aircraft and so on and so forth. So if you think about it from that standpoint, then you can identify the 2-3 key areas in which you need to excel, and that way you make yourself. I guess you build this moat that makes it very, very difficult for the competition to touch you. And then if you think about other areas of operation, let's say, let's say finance, that might not be an area that is strategic for them. So you could potentially outsource some part of the operations in that sense, and so on and so forth. So that's at a super high level what it means to focus on developing the key capabilities that you need to not only, I guess, have the right to compete in a market, but also to win.
I love that. I love that. Competing and win language is fantastic. And also the idea that it seems like a lot of people overcomplicate things, but also don't have enough depth. So what I hear you suggesting is that people hyper-focus and really understand their value and design around their true capability, which I can now see why you would say that you're, strategic in that way. Having evaluated so many pitch decks and meeting so many teams, could you please share 3 best practices that will help our Marl community be better prepared as they're preparing their pitch decks?
I guess I would say is there's always this conversation as to what is the ideal length for the pitch deck and what are the areas or the sections that it should include. And I guess I would start by I guess landing on what is the objective of the pitch deck, and the way I think about it is the objective of the pitch deck is to get you that meeting, right? So you don't have to tell absolutely everything about your company, but also there are some things that are very, very important to gain the interest of a potential investor. And so to me, some of the key sections would be, of course, talking about the team. This is something that a lot of founders don't really do that well. Sometimes they talk about their team at the very end of the pitch deck, when in reality, particularly at early stage, we are investing in people, right? And we want to know, why do you believe that you are the right team to be successful with this particular venture? So always talking about the team and how, and communicating that what we call founder market fit, right? What in your career, in your experience, makes you the ideal person or the ideal team to scale this company, and how does the rest of your team complement your skill set? The second thing is traction. If you were to attend one of the most recent Y Combinator demo days, now where they have like hundreds of companies presenting on a single day, you would see that they only use one slide, and it is the traction slide, because you want to quickly convey what have you accomplished so far with the limited resources that you have. And it could be number of users, it could be revenue, it could be progress towards the MVP, but show the work that you have done. That'll help the investors assess the quality of what you're putting together. And I guess beyond that, finally, and in my particular case, or in our case, we do like to see a slide on the competition. And the reason for that is because we want to understand how you're thinking about your overall strategy. How, in your view, are you differentiating from the competition, and to what extent do you really know your market?
You know, Mariano, I would so appreciate your comments here, because what I'm hearing is that a lot of people are pitching, or they're putting together a pitch deck. And what you're suggesting is that people almost customize their pitch deck like they would customize for a customer. And the idea that you're also introducing is that VCs also have a strategic advantage. So everyone out there, don't just think you're going to send a deck or get money. The goal that I'm hearing is really to prepare for the next meeting. And we might have to spend more time doing due diligence on who it is that we're presenting to. I think that's the great contribution that you've given us here. We have on another opportunity, I was lucky enough to meet you on a call when we were talking about the future of funding. And we talked about that less than 5% of VC money currently goes to women and minorities. And I wanted to know, how are you and your firm addressing this to get more engagement?
Yeah, that is an issue that we have had in general in this industry for a long time, right? And it's not that different from what I experienced in strategy consulting, where the vast majority of people who made it all the way to partnership are, your standard white male folks, right? So, I mean, it is a complex problem to solve. And my thesis is that it starts with the investors, with the limited partners that fund the venture capital funds. And so to the extent that we have more minorities investing in venture capital, to the extent that we educate the population in the benefits and the advantages of investing in venture capital, that naturally creates a snowball effect, right? In the sense that if you have more women investing in venture capital, that naturally creates a certain deal flow that you might otherwise not have access to, and then that generates, or that creates, more female participation in the companies or in the funds, and eventually you invest in a more diverse population. So what we do at MGB Capital, we don't necessarily have a diversity mandate. What I always say is that I'm a minority in the U.S. I've been here for more than 20 plus years. And ultimately, any sort of success that I ever had has always been with a diverse team. So it's just in my DNA, literally, to be open to working with anyone, right? With any type of people. I truly believe that, and there are studies about this, about how a diverse team and a diverse investment team as well can generate higher returns. So in our case, if you look at our portfolio, even though we don't necessarily have a diversity mandate, over 70% of the teams in which we have invested have at least one minority founder. About half of the companies in which we have invested have at least one women founder, and about 30% of the companies in our portfolio are led by a women CEO. And again, there's no magic behind it. We're not actively just looking to invest in a particular demographic. It's just being open, right? Just being open to talking to everyone, and having that open mindset of truly seeing everyone as equal. Many of my colleagues, particularly on the Bay Area, would not even talk to you if they're not introduced to you by someone in their network, what is called a warm introduction. But if you're, a Black female out of Arkansas, how do you have access to the network of this, affluent white male in the Bay Area. So long story short is it starts with the recognition that that the talent is distributed, but the opportunities are not. And there's good business in doing good.
Thank you very much. My last question is, first of all, we're very lucky that the Marl Accelerator with Amar and Prakash have invested in the Rochester region the way that they have through our startup studio that I'm a part of. What else can Rochester as a community do to get investors like MGV Capital and interested in the upstate New York region?
Yeah, that's. I guess. I mean, it starts with creating this awareness, right? I mean, nowadays, I mean, one of the positives of the pandemic, if anything, was that all of a sudden everybody was working remotely, right? And I remember one of the first companies in which we invested was out of Philadelphia, and the reason that we even got to meet them was because all of a sudden they had to cancel all their plans. And they looked to the internet, right? And to try to get some meetings with investors. So nowadays it's I mean, this is how we conduct business today, and particularly for emerging managers like me. We don't wish to compete in the Bay Area. We don't wish to compete particularly in Manhattan, right? So we're looking for other regions of the U.S. in which we know there's a significant entrepreneurial community, and to find those opportunities that might be overlooked by others. So I think from my standpoint is first of all to understand that we are all looking for accelerators and for people like you. I mean, in a way, you make our lives easier, right? By introducing us to new founders, to entrepreneurs, and to also teach them, right? And nurture them as to how to scale a company. So yeah, I mean, that to me, that's. I guess more than an answer specifically as to how to is just to convey the message that we're all looking for you. So I mean, just reach out to us.
Great. I'm so glad that you've been a guest on our program, and here we are. So we will continue to nurture this relationship. You have been hearing from Mariano, Gonzalez from MGV Capital Groups, and this is Jennifer Sertl from Think, Build, Launch. So glad you joined us today. I'd also like to thank Monroe County, Startup Grind Rochester, Upstate Venture Connect, Upstate Capital of New York, NextCore, RIT, and the University of Rochester for your partnership with Marl Startup Studio and collaboration to this entrepreneurship tipping point that we have in Rochester. Finally, I'd also like to thank our producer, Scott Fitzgerald at Rockvox Studio. If you have an idea or want to know more about our program, connect with me at jennifer@marlaccelerator.com. Please subscribe to our program, and we will continue to provide you information and inspiration about taking your idea from a concept to a business.